this great conference. Co-presenting with me is Daniel Fink. He is a regional VP of recruiting here in the East Coast. And so I'll have some additional information to share with the rest of the group here. And we're going to make this as user-friendly as possible. So we want to make this very, back and forth. Feel free to ask questions as we're going along. I'm just going to fire through our company profile really quick, just to give you guys an idea of who we are, where we come from, and why we have some insight on the market. So first off, our company was founded in 2002. We're known as Tech Partners. I'm not sure how many of you folks have worked with Tech Partners here in the past, but I saw some names that came across here in the list here. Now, I think I recognize some of you guys that we worked together in the past. So Tech Partners, we were acquired by a private equity group, I'm guessing about 4 years ago now, and we're now rebranded to Inspire Solutions. And so with that, we've got 13 offices across the region. We're growing as well. We're purchasing other staffing firms and also other consulting firms. And so with that said, we do have two sides to our organization. We were built as a staffing organization. Some 13 years ago, we founded what we call our professional services group. Our professional services group focuses on data, analytics, project management, cloud infrastructure. We're a Microsoft partner, Databricks partner, Tableau, Salesforce, and UKG partner as well. So with that said, if we could we go to the next page there, Kay? Keep going, please. Keep going. One more slide. Perfect. So here's a quick overview of what we our core services within our consulting practices. As you can see, we're spread across the board here in terms of what we can provide for our clients. And a key component for this meeting here is our project management practice. So we do everything from staffing to project management, to building PMO organizations, to helping build PMO organizations. We've done several agile transformations, which I know it's great news for you all. And, those are the type of things we're going to be diving into today. Does anybody have any questions so far? All right. Kay, can you go back to page 2, please? And Dan, if you want to kind of talk through some of the jobs that, some of the trends in the market that you're seeing, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Wish I had better news to report, honestly, on the trends. We've definitely seen a decrease in job orders in general, and particularly in the project management space over the last couple of years. Just looking at the charts here, total openings. This was January to September by year. And obviously, as you can see, our project management, business that we're receiving from customers really kind of fell off a cliff after 2022, which was a very hot year, especially the first 3 quarters. And we've continued to see that decline, and the same in really other, I'll just say similar skill sets, project and program management. Although one light at the end of the tunnel, we did see a little uptick this year in program management. So we're hoping that's a sign of things to come in 2025. We'll start to rebound. I kind of think we're scraping the bottom here. This is actually the lowest amount of orders we've received for project management, I think, in over 10 years since I've been looking at this. So, yeah, it's been a tighter market, and a huge trend that we've noticed. And I'm sure if you're a candidate in the marketplace, you've probably noticed this as well. But all those nice, flexible, remote jobs that everybody was loving a couple of years ago are kind of, I won't say going away, but they're definitely reducing to a minimum. Virtually everything that we're seeing now from customers is hybrid. And we even have a number of customers starting to go back to 5 days a week on site. So that's kind of the current trends in the marketplace. The one bright spot is rates have, since before the pandemic, the rates have really, taken off. And so about 20% higher now than before the pandemic, despite the fact that last year's probably been a little flat, maybe even a little bit down. But since before the pandemic hit, rates are substantially up. So that's a little bit of the good news there. But the trends certainly favor more in person, more hybrid positions, and hopefully a comeback in 2025. That's the State of the Union there, Mike.
Outstanding. Anyone have questions so far in terms of the marketplace? I can also share with Dan that from a jobs perspective, it's a combination of both. I mean, we're seeing folks, clients that are really strict on having 100% agile background, some looking for the certifications. But we're also seeing a number of folks still transforming to agile, which is the great news. Even as of yesterday, I believe we got 2 roles here in the South Florida market. They're a combination of agile and waterfall. And so with that said, I think there's some opportunities that are coming up. I do think the economy plays a huge factor in what we're doing today. I am hoping that the decrease here in interest rates helps out tremendously and gives us a little push here for tail end of Q4. But what we're preparing for as an organization is really for things to pick up February, March of next year. We've spoken to a number of clients that based on their ability to borrow money, they'll either be launching projects this year or next year. And I do believe that next year is going to be it, primarily because it's, the market's just down. It's really hard to start a new project or build a program management group during the downturn or right going into the holidays. And we've got, can't believe I'm saying this, but we have Thanksgiving right around the corner along with Christmas and New Year's. So right around the corner here for us. So the bulk of what we're preparing for will be for Q1 of next year.
Anything election related, Mike, or you don't think that's going to matter one way or the other? I keep getting that question from a lot of people.
That's kind of a
lightning rod topic, right?
That's kind of a tough question there, Dan, but I do think the elections have something to do with it. And it's all depending, I think when we look at the economics of the whole thing, companies are looking to decrease their ability to borrow money. I think they're paying, high double-digit interest rates. And I can't share which cruise line, but I could share that one of their cruise lines they're borrowing money at 20 some odd percent. And that makes them really hard when they're borrowing in the hundreds of millions of dollars from the banks and the government. And so what I do feel is that if they can decrease those interest rates down, Dan, and based on who's elected, if we can drop those interest rates, I think it'll just help out our cause there. And we're seeing what I'm referring to is mostly enterprise clients. We do get a lot of, mid-sized organizations try and utilize some aspect of agile, but for the bulk of what I'm talking about, we're speaking mostly about large enterprise accounts. We're talking the Disneys of the world, the Baptist hospitals of the world, the JM families, the Lennars of the world. So those are the companies that we're referring to, really, really large organizations.
Makes
Mike,
total
Daniel,
sense.
I think
was just going to say,
Diane, hands raised.
Diane, you have a question? I was just going to say really quick. We really know when the interest rates started to go up in 2022 and they started raising them, that was exactly when the job orders started dropping off. So I think you're spot on the interest rates. But go ahead, Diane. You've been waiting very patiently.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to ask, given the trend of project management, and I guess as it relates to program management and Scrum Masters, do you feel a lot of work is going offshore? What would you say is a trend? You're saying it will be better in 2025, but over the last 2 years is a trend downward. Are we looking to go back to the numbers of 2022 or just a mild increase?
So I'm going to talk through experience here without any data to back it up, but I've been through a couple of these downturns here, Diane. And typically once we see the economy drop a little bit, kind of what we're seeing now, it's almost a pendulum, right? We'll see that pendulum go this way. And with the economy dropping, you do see a lot of offshore and nearshore components. Now, I don't think it really affects the project/program managers in a sense, because the proper way to run a nearshore offshore is to really have your project managers on-site local, along with your business analysts on-site local, to be able to really understand what the stakeholders are looking for from a project perspective, right? We have been asked in the past to, we do have an offshore location between India and the Philippines. We have been asked to do offshore with project managers, and we're very, very selective in what we send offshore from a project management perspective. We feel that it's important for the folks to understand the culture, understand their stakeholders, be closer to stakeholders, be prepared to meet with those stakeholders on a regular basis. So Diane, yeah, I have seen it, but I do think it's going to bounce back. Once the economy starts picking up, you're going to see a lot of that pendulum kind of swing back the other way towards in our favor. And we're starting to see some of that now. And I think, a lot of you folks on here probably done work with offshore. Based on the program management, it's the key to the success of the project. If we don't have a good project manager or program management running that actual project, we start to see that fall. And that's typically when some of that work starts to come back here as well. And I'm talking about most of the stuff that's going offshore is still on the development side, not necessarily on the, yes, we do get a lot of data stuff offshore, but it's just basic day-to-day tasks. We're not sending any mission critical type of stuff offshore.
Okay.
And Diane, if you want my personal opinion without a crystal ball here, I think the rebound will be, I'm thinking more to get us to 2018, 2019 type of a market. I don't personally think it's going to be 21, 22, just because that was caused, it was such a job explosion caused by COVID. It was kind of a once in a lifetime event where companies pulled back so hard and then simultaneously were kind of forced to move ahead with so many projects related to remote work. So many companies just weren't ready for that. And that kind of, I just think that created a really unique situation that drove that 2021, 2022 jobs boom that I just don't feel it's likely to reoccur just like that. But I could see 2018, 2019. That's what I'm hoping for.
That makes sense. I just had a follow-up question on that. So what do you advise? I mean, I'm currently actively looking for roles. Do you advise someone to concentrate more on contract related work or full-time permanent work to gain any employment between now and the end of 2024? Or because what I'm hearing is like, well, it'll be great in the next quarter. So that's 3 to 6 months from now.
Me personally, I would say, yeah, if I'm not sure obviously what your preference is, whether you prefer a permanent position or contract, but if you're a candidate looking for perm and kind of considering contract, I would absolutely advise anybody to take a contract right now if you could. Really important to not just keep your skills updated and skills current, but employment gaps tend to, a lot of employers look down on those and feel it's a sign that the candidate's not in as good or in demand. And a lot of times it's not even that. It's just some people are very particular. Some people financially don't have to get right back to work. They can take time off. So, but the prospective employer oftentimes doesn't know that. So I would advise, if you're only looking for perm, I would consider contract and try to do what you can to get working, keep your skills updated, and probably maybe even learn some new technology. And then hopefully you'll find a little bit of a warmer market next year once that contract is up.
Yeah, and to follow up with what Dan says, I think it's easier for the recruiters to sell the fact that, hey, there aren't any large gaps in the resume. So if you can't pick up that contract work, now we'll also get the flip side where the clients are saying, well, hey, how come Diane has a bunch of 6 to 8 months projects here? Well, it's an easy answer in the sense that we all know how the economy has been the last couple of years. So it's just a matter of explaining that and letting them know that, hey, we've been doing consulting contract work. And that's primarily what our clients have been asking for as of late. Now, we have seen a little bit of a trend just as of yesterday. We got a couple permanent project management recs, but it's typically contract. Still a lot of contract work happening out there. Some contract to hire opportunities. I would say the permanent opportunities are slim right now.
And most of our clients that hire perm take it from their contracting base, especially the larger employers. We very rarely get direct hire perm. It happens, but for project management, but a lot of times they end up hiring full-time who they've had contracting for sometimes a year to two.
Yeah. And then I could share with you too, Dan, our frustration is on the staffing side, and I've seen it with some of my coworkers, is that the clientele know that, hey, there's an abundance of resources that are out there that are employed. So what they'll do is they'll pack 2-3 jobs into one, right? So, hey,
Exactly.
not only do we want agile waterfall, but by the way, now we want specific experience implementing ServiceNow with these particular modules with this skill set,
Azure and AWS and Google Cloud, all three of them,
Really?
So
Okay.
yeah, they're trying to make us earn our money.
Really? Yeah.
But it does make it a bit tougher. Now, it's just, I guess it's just the law of supply and demand there. But I do see that, I'm sure you've seen it too, Dan, that every time
Yes.
that there is a surplus of resource in the marketplace, especially the enterprise accounts. I mean, and then those are the really large accounts that they start to get really, really specific with the experience. Now, when the market's hot, I think they're a lot more flexible in terms
Yeah.
of what they're looking for.
It's almost like they're trying to see what they can get away with right now. They heard candidates are on discount. They're plentiful out there. So yeah, it's a challenge we've been dealing with a lot this year.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I see somebody else is waiting, but I will reach out to both you, Dan and Michael.
Thanks, Diane.
Thank you, Diane. Morning, Andre.
Hey, Andre, how are you?
Yes, good morning. Thank you. All right, so my question is probably a little bit related to what you just said. By looking at the charts, and I noticed that the Scrum Masters are going down drastically from year to year. And my question is to know, is it because now that in the market there is some more supply being available of workers that they're packing more of the Scrum Master work with program management or project management? Is that what is happening with the Scrum Master's job, and what is the future of it, if that's the case?
So, I'll start, Dan, and you can kind of follow up. So, Andre, yes, I do think that, as we were speaking earlier, the clients are just trying to get away with having 2-3 people into one role. So I'll ask, hey, we want this person to have amazing agile skills. They are, although they're not going to be functioning as the Scrum Master, we want to have Scrum Master experience. So that's just part of the role right now, where clients are just asking for a lot of things into one. But I do recall that, me personally, I would get, a lot more Scrum Masters in the past, specifically.
Yeah, my thoughts are pretty similar. I think it's the combination of, less projects in general. Obviously, you can see less project management roles, which means less needs for Scrum Masters. And we have seen a couple of clients that have tried to, kind of move those responsibilities to the PM and kind of get 2 roles into one. A lot of Scrum Masters we recruit, a lot of times, they have a bit of a project management background normally. And then you have people that are just pure Scrum Master, and that's kind of all they normally do. They don't really do pure project management. But we have noticed some clients trying to get a kind of a 2-for-1 on those, and have the project manager drive all the the sprints and everything else that comes with the Scrum. So I think that's a sign of the times. Same thing with the agile coach role, which is another similar one. I personally still think it's, agile is the most popular methodology out there. So given that, unless something new comes along, some new methodology that takes the market over, I think Scrum Masters will come back pretty strong as app dev projects come back strong. So I think it'll follow that.
Okay, very good.
Is there a way to fight
So there
that?
is a hope.
Because, I'm sorry, is there a way to fight that? Because being a project manager and a Scrum Master is an anti-pattern. Because
is.
one's a leadership role and the other one's a servant leadership role. So
Correct.
then you're constantly having to switch hats. And I don't think that's fair.
So we are constantly fighting that battle, Julie, trying to educate clients about that. But I think, that's just their way right now of taking advantage of the market and saying, well, we still want this. They're going to be performing as the leader, but we want them to have the Scrum Master experience as well. Maybe they have trust issues. I don't know what to tell you.
I like to say, Julie, that our clients don't always listen to us immediately, but they do listen to us eventually. And kind of like when it comes to pay rates on roles, like raising them and stuff, normally they'll interview until it breaks them. And then at some point when they really, like, their hand is almost forced, they realize they're not getting talent, then they'll increase the pay, for example. And I think it's similar to that. they're trying this right now, and instead of just taking that advice which we're offering, a lot of times they kind of want to find out for themselves, and hey, let's see if we can put some talented person in here that can do both, even though it's the I kind of use that a contradiction in terms there. And the whole point of the agile methodology is having a dedicated scrum master to just focus on that and not the other stuff. That's the whole point of it, right? But I think once they start seeing projects like trying that and it doesn't work, they'll go back. But they might have to put their hand on a hot stove first.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
And
Thank you
the
so
other
much.
battle, the other battle that we have, Julie, that a lot of you folks don't have visibility to are rates. So we're constantly educating clients, clients are also trying to take advantage of the situation and reducing the rates in terms of what they want to pay. And we're constantly fighting that battle that, hey, if this is a long-term role, we've got to create trust on both sides of the house. And once the market does swing, you're going to have a lot of attrition within your organization. So there's a lot of education. So aside from the leadership to servant role with and having multiple skill sets into one role, we try and educate them about the market. And we have market studies and salary surveys as well that we send out, but they tend to ignore it when the market's tough and they realize that, hey, we can pick up a couple PMs here on the less expensive side. So let's try and take advantage. And our job, this is why it's very important for the folks on this call to make sure that you have a great relationship with if you are working with recruiters, have a great relationship with your recruiters, and hopefully those recruiters, the salespeople that they work with, have good enough relationships and understand the market good enough to be able to have these conversations with the client, because it's not just, hey, ABC company needs a project manager with these 9 different skill sets and rate. It's a matter of educating the client and really understanding, hey, here's what we're seeing from our side, Mr. Client, Mr. and Mrs. Client. Yeah, you may get these folks now, but here's what's going to happen Q1, Q2 next year once the market starts to get hot.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing, just real quick, that they are asking for you to do double roles, and the salaries are going down.
They have dropped
Down to under 6 figures. So that's what I've been saying.
Right,
And that's the
well,
last thing I'm going to say.
No, we push back though. So that's what we're trying to say. What I'm trying to say is just make sure that the folks that you're working with have the knowledge to know that, hey, that have the relationship with their clients to be able to push back and say that, we may be able to find you somebody now, Mr. or Mrs. Client, but here's what's going to happen in 3, 4, 5, 6 months. You're going to have a huge gap within your program management office because everyone's going to leave. Right, because you're going to underpay everybody. So it's very, very important that the folks that you work with have those relationships with their clients. If not, they're going to slam you into a job. You're not going to be happy. The client's not going to be happy because you're not happy. So it's one big vicious circle.
Yeah, and before we get to Zainab's question, I noticed there was one in the chat about product owner market. So I don't honestly have the stats in front of me on that, but I feel like there's been an increase in that. I feel like I'm seeing more of those, and I'm not sure honestly if it's just because the market has picked up or if it's because a lot of roles that I personally think a lot of roles that used to be branded as a business analyst are now being branded as a product owner. It seems like, and even potentially some Scrum Master roles as well. So that's a title of product owner that I know has been around for a while, but I feel like it's really picking up over the last several years. Companies, I guess, really wanting people to own everything end to end. And so I think that's part of the reason for the increase, at least, is companies are what they used to just call a business analyst. They're calling it a product owner now. I'm not sure your opinion on that, Mike, but that's just kind of what I've been seeing.
Yeah, I've seen that as well.
And then Zainab, I noticed you had been waiting very patiently there, my friend.
All right, thank you so much. I just wanted to ask, how can one position Emma herself to get remote job opportunities? I'm a business analyst working here in the UK, and I find out that sometimes when I read the job adverts for roles in the US, you get asked about having some work permits like that. So what would be your advice on, positioning well in the market? Because it seems the remote jobs are quite competitive. How can one secure that? Thank you.
So if I'm understanding your question, Zainab, you're asking about uh remote work. Is that what I heard?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so we're seeing there are some remote opportunities out there, and I think one of the benefits of COVID, it created a global workforce for us, in the sense that we could go across different countries now and support clients. But we are seeing some of that work come back. We are seeing some of the folks ask for that work to come back. And again, that's part of the pendulum I was speaking about earlier, Zainab, the fact that when the companies don't want to spend money, they'll utilize offshore resources. We push back and try to say, hey, look, that's fine. We'll do all the development, all our development work, all our work offshore, but the program management and the program management needs to be on site, right? Meaning we want to make sure that the folks that are interviewing the stakeholders and developing the relationship with those stakeholders are US based. So we do try and keep it US based. I have seen the trend in more come back to on-site, as what Dan was referring to, that now we're seeing clients start to ask us go from hybrid. We went from, hey, 2-3 days hybrid to now we're seeing some of our companies asking us, hey, we're going back to full time. And I think, is it Meta or Google or Amazon that brought everybody back? And I think that created a trend that, hey, if Amazon's bringing everybody back, maybe we should bring everybody back as well.
I think
Especially
the
down here in
watershed
South Florida.
moment for me was when I heard Zoom was bringing employees back into the office. I'll just say that. So once I heard Zoom was doing it, then you really know it's a trend, because that's obviously part of their business model as a remote workforce. But yeah, I would just say to echo what Mike said, I would absolutely encourage if you're able to. Certain people have personal situations, kids, and can't consider any remote jobs, but or anything but a remote job. They're so much more competitive for those positions, and it's so much easier for an employer to cut ties with a person that is remote. So if you're hybrid and willing to at least willing to go in person, even if it's just a couple of days a week, you really it puts you at a much bigger advantage, because an employer looking for someone hybrid, basically just eliminated 99% of the market. They're only basically searching in their local city geography typically, whereas a remote job, you're competing with everybody in the United States, sometimes even Canada too. So if you're able, I would absolutely consider trying at least hybrid, because it'll not only make it easier for you to get the position, but it also makes you more likely to, I guess, stick around and them to renew you or take you permanent. Go ahead, Regina.
Awesome. Let me know if you guys could hear me. No, I wanted to just add a little bit more to the conversation about the product owner and the business analyst, right? So you said you're seeing more of the product owner job postings now. Is that correct? Is that what you guys said? Okay.
Yeah, without data off the top of my head, but just, my gut feel, we have seen more product owner roles, I feel like, this year.
Okay.
Than we have in years past. That seems to be one of the skill sets that's increasing, I guess.
And I wanted to add to maybe some of the reasons why, right? So I'm an Agile coach, right? So we've helped organizations transition to Agile. So in the past, you would see more of the business analyst role, because the product owner role had not been fully accepted or supported, given in from the product owner is a product specialist or subject matter, usually comes from business. And because the buy-in was not there, you would see more of the business analyst role that many times came from the technology side, gathering requirements, right? And then going out and working with that business owner that we were hoping to be the product owner, and trying to engage them to participate with the teams. The good news is that now they realize that that product owner role is key and should be part of the Agile team. That's why we're seeing a lot more of that. So that's actually a plus. But now those product owners are actually being required to have business analysis skills. Before, they were just part of the business and they would say, this is what I want and this is the scope. Now I'm seeing that they're hiring product owners on the business side with business analyst experience and also product experience. You still have that partnership of that more technical business analyst sitting with that now called product owner on the business side. So you're seeing both, but I'm seeing in some that they're like, that product owner can do both, and they're actually fully being allocated and the role is fully being embraced. I'm seeing that more and more, and that's actually a plus in our agile mindset and the full support for those agile teams. So I just wanted to add that. That's why you guys are seeing that more, because the business is now more educated on the need, and they've seen the success of that in the agile implementations.
And that's great. That's great color. That's better said than I could have, certainly, Regina. And I will, now that you make a point there, I will say I do know a number of people that were not in IT. They were, like you said, more on the business side. That was their break in. They got in through product owner roles because they were experts in some function of the business, and then and then the company wanted to maybe build an app off it or go mobile with it, something like that, and that was their first break, and got them in there. So that makes a lot of sense. People coming from the business side versus IT.
And a promotion for the business analyst ideally should be to become the product owner. Because that technical business analyst has been working so much with that business unit that many times they get hired by the business units and they now become the product owner. So keep that in mind too, because that's a promotional opportunity for business analysts. Okay, thank you.
No, that's great. Yeah, it used to just be you could be become a PM. That was the dream of the business analyst. Become a project manager. But now, there's different fields now. Whether it's a product owner, scrum master. So it's good to see more opportunities for them to move up.
Absolutely.
And no, I can personally speak, when we do our projects, we'd love to have both, either a project manager, scrum master as part of the pod, a business analyst as part of the pod, and then, obviously the stakeholders and development group on there. So I do think that role will transfer, and you're going to see a lot more product management role come out in the marketplace out next year, but we're going to see a lot more of that. I want to get back to some of the questions, Dan. I don't want to ignore some of the folks on that are on the chat. Philip, I saw your question there about the market. This is just for South Florida. This was we have data to share with you from our South Florida office. Our competitors aren't too likely to share that information with us.
Yeah.
They don't want to share. But anyways, so that's just from South Florida.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, I've seen some very, very drastic changes over the last half year. I think I put them in the chat. Thank you, though.
Outstanding. Yeah, and I do agree with you. I mean, I'm sure you used to get 5 to 10 calls a day, and it's slim pickings right now. It is very slim pickings. It makes it harder for us as well. And I focus mostly on the project side, where Dan and his team do a lot of the staffing work. And my projects have been, I mean, I don't have my numbers exactly in front of me, but I could share with you that the number of projects I know I sign up, which will be anywhere from 6 to 10 a year, have gone down drastically as well. I'm happy to get 1 or 2 this year. Actually, I've probably got about half of what I normally get this year.
Yeah, I can, and even to say to make a point of what you said there, Phil. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The recruiters are seeing it from the other side. We're seeing being able, like, jobs open up, and within a day, being able to get a couple of qualified candidates. So from a recruiter's perspective, it's kind of it's not nice that we don't have as many jobs to work, but it's actually a little easier to find candidates. And like 2 years ago, we'd spend a day or two, if it was a hybrid job, especially, looking for somebody and just coming up blank, couldn't get a taker. But now, obviously, much easier. So yeah, sounds like you're seeing it too. I'm hoping all those calls were coming from onshore, but I think I've heard even the calls coming from some of the offshore recruiting firms have even taken a hit as well.
Yeah, it's definitely drastically lighter, but again, I think it's you guys are hitting the nail on the head with the economy, and I think that'll eventually pick up here pretty soon. So,
well, I mean, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, and I don't want to bring politics into this, but I do think interest rates are probably the key to the enterprise accounts. And this is firsthand conversations with CFOs of organizations discussing that, hey, it's just too expensive to borrow money right now. They're borrowing money at 25, 26% or 20 anywhere in 20% range. You're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, it impacts their ability to do projects. And that's why you see a lot of those folks, especially the public companies, trying to make their EBITDA numbers and trying to make their shareholders happy and such. So they're going to go through layoffs. They're going to hold off on projects, but there are also a lot of organizations out there that have fallen behind the projects, and we're still seeing a lot of cloud migrations. So there's still a heck of a lot more clients that need to migrate to the cloud. So I do, and that's why I say that I do believe by, March is probably going to be the hottest month that we're going to have if things go the right way and interest rates continue to drop and we stimulate the economy here. A lot of other factors that could involve stimulating the economy, but I do believe the main driver is going to be the interest rates.
Agreed. And also everybody, hopefully just with time, companies are working through their, I'll just say, call it COVID bloat, I guess, if you will. So many companies overhired, honestly, even the biggest of the biggest, right? I mean, I think everybody saw, whether it was Meta or Amazon, et cetera, laying off, 10,000 at a time or whatever it was. And that happened in early to mid 2022. And so all these companies really went on a hiring binge for a couple of years there after COVID. And I think that put them in a position where they sort of, they kind of caught their breath. They realized we hired way too many people. And so they've been in the process of, shedding or right sizing that staff, if you will. And because of that, there's just been less needs for, less openings, because even if there is a project or a new job, they're trying to give that to somebody internally who they might otherwise have to let go. So hopefully once a little bit more time passes too, they work through that, supply and demand will balance out a little bit better.
Any other questions out there? Dan, did you see anything else in the chat that we need to address?
Marcelo claims he's old. I don't think we need to address that. He's got some good knowledge, though. I'll give you that, Marcelo. Yeah, I think Michael put a good comment if you're reading the chat about EY and Deloitte. I think he's right. Honestly, I think that
correct.
Small companies don't tend to drive those titles in the market. As we were saying earlier, it's the big tech companies and stuff and the big consulting companies. And so once they kind of get behind a role, similar to, those of you familiar with DevOps, I remember, as obviously it's an older term now, but when I started recruiting 15 years ago, it wasn't even a thing. Site reliability, I know that got founded at Google, and now you see those in a lot of companies. So yeah, the big consultants and the big tech firms, once they really get behind a role or a methodology, that seems to be what causes it to kind of catch fire and take over in the broader market.
Gives them something else to sell.
Yeah, more certifications to sell, and yeah, exactly.
And I love those firms because they're also some of our clients. So
yes, yeah, we do business.
Yeah, you'll see some of that too, where although the big four are in the account and they own the projects, you'll see some of those clients say, hey, we want local PMs, right? And so they'll actually turn to companies like ours and request for resources locally. So now we're a white label service. They would never know that they came from an Inspire Solutions, and they beat us up on bill rates, and they charge the client a heck of a lot more money than we would ever would.
Yeah, they make more than us and the person combined, which is just it is what it is there. But yeah, they do have the ability to charge a premium price. Those big four that quite frankly we just don't. We're more value. I'll put it that way. But go ahead, Andre. I see you got your hand up. I think we still have a couple of minutes left according to our.
So let me see if I can squeeze one more in before the time is over.
Go for it, man.
Is to find out with what is going on in the market right now, what is the upscale that you will probably recommend anyone in project management or Scrum Master role currently? What would be your go-to upscale training that they need to have or certification?
So, go ahead,
from
Mike.
the certification perspective, I think the more you can get, the better, because it shows the aptitude that, hey, I could do all these roles. And there's a lot of folks that we work with that may have that theoretical experience, right? Hey, we have all these all these certs, but no practical experience. So that, it's a combination of both you should have. But I would definitely, the more certs you can get, the better. It makes our jobs a lot easier because we could easily talk to the client and letting them know that, hey, look, Andre's got the aptitude to go ahead and take this role on. Give him a shot, give him an opportunity to go ahead and work on this project. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I was just going to say for me, what I would be doing, I guess it depends on the background you already have. If you're a person that has more of an infrastructure type of background in terms of the projects that you've run, more servers, data centers, etc. Obviously, the cloud is really hot right now. Microsoft Azure, I personally think is going to continue to really do well. Nothing against AWS or Google Cloud. There's going to be plenty of opportunities for those people too. But I think Azure will probably be more. And that's just the way we see things. Every client's got Microsoft already, and it seems like every competing product, Microsoft just comes out with their own and kind of takes over there. So I would go with anything Azure related if you're on the infrastructure side, or in the data space. I really think that too will be good. If you're in app dev and you really like, you're really looking for the next wave of applications and development. No secret here, it's been the hot word of the year. Me personally, I would look into anything AI related. I think that is something that right now, I mean, everybody's talking about, but a lot of companies really don't know how to use it yet. And they're not really sure, if it's going to be worth it. They know it will be at some point, but is it right now? So me personally, that's what I would do if I was more on the app dev side. I'd go more AI focused.
100%. Yeah. And to close the loop, I know we're going to wrap up here. Just kind of want to give everybody, at least what we're seeing, Dan, great point there. We have seen that, cybersecurity roles have gone up. They haven't gone down. So they're still really, really hot. AI is right up there as well. Although a lot of companies are just trying to find use cases in terms of, hey, how do we utilize AI? How do we utilize AI here within our organization? But that also creates a lot of opportunities around governance and creating a framework around AI. So all these new technologies are fantastic. BI and analytics are also still pretty hot. What we have seen a drop of are application development and project management, unfortunately. But I do anticipate those things coming back up right around the corner.
Yeah, a lot of clients, I think, too, I think they're investing or dabbling in AI just because they know it's sort of the future. Even though they're not sure exactly what to do with it, but they're where their competitors are. They don't want to lag behind, and so a lot of money, I think, is just going to kind of get thrown at that. A lot of it probably won't work the way companies want. I mean, if you don't have your data properly governed and in place, the AI is, it's only as good as the data behind it. So there's a lot of things I think companies maybe aren't ready for. But I see companies that have money to invest just kind of throwing money at it just to make sure they're not left out in the cold, since it seems like it's going to be the next big thing. And but I personally don't believe all our jobs are going away because of AI, though. I'm not in that camp. I still think humans are going to be needed. I know every time I call into a major company, a credit card, airline, I hate dealing with the robot. So I want to I press 0 and get to the person every single time. So I still think there's going to be a good place in the market for us humans. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, and to close up, I think we've got a minute left here. So appreciate you letting us know there, Veron. Andre, I think, to close the loop here, I think you asked a question earlier of, certs. I anticipate a lot of AI projects coming up next year. So I do feel that, hey, the more knowledge you can have about AI, the better it will be to be able to jump on one of those projects.
Yeah, certs show you're serious, because there's really not going to be a lot of people with actual AI experience unless you're on the bleeding edge working out in Silicon Valley for, NVIDIA or Apple or one of those companies like that. You're probably not in the job market, though, if you're one of those guys. Those guys are, kind of the upper 1%, if you will. But yeah, if you're a person, look, I feel like just having that cert shows the company that you're serious, and you'll come up in a lot of recruiter searches, be the top of their phone call, etc. So it's a good point.
Yeah, and I really do appreciate everybody. First off, for the group for inviting us to speak at the career fair here. I will close out with putting my email and Dan's email on the chat here. So if you guys need to reach us after the fact, or if we could somehow help you look for work, we're more than happy to do so. So thank you again.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Variable, for keeping us on track here, buddy.
Of
Thank you.
course. I want to thank Michael Ortiz and Daniel Pink for the presentation. I think we all learned a lot, so very happy to see that. I think the next session is in 5 minutes at 10:55 at Dexian. So look forward to seeing you all there. But thank you all for coming, and thank you once again to Michael Ortiz and Daniel Pink for such an excellent presentation and topic.
Excellent. Have a great
Thanks,
week.
everybody. Good luck out there. To a better 2025.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
So